Morning, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on the video. It's been a little while since I've recorded. You've probably only seen it go up in the last week or so, but the Land Rover's back on the road. The last you saw was me going to the MOT station. I had a bit of a failure of the horn whilst I was doing my testing, so I had to jerry rig a horn up, or an earth to the horn, but no problems, it passed. So, yes, you probably noticed there was a bit of a ticking sound. Don't know what that is yet. I haven't had a chance to have a look at it. It's sort of just over Christmas time now. It's the day after Boxing Day, and it's busy. You know, Christmas dues, works dues, all that lot. So it's just one of those hungover weekends, family time and stuff. It's just been one of those. I haven't quite got to it yet, but I thought I'd do something different today. And I'm going to start off with a story in Andrew St Pierre White fashion. So I've had this Land Rover since 2017. It comes from the factory with a heavy duty chassis, and what that means is that it's generally a bit more beefed up. I think this was a utilities Defender at some point. My friend Rich for Bug Out Vehicles UK, he pointed out there's some slots in the wing where a hydraulic winch would have been for something or other, so it's factory beefed up. But anyway, in 2018 I decided that I wanted to fit a suspension lift, and I went for HD springs, shocks, all this lot, but at the same time I had some heavy duty steering bars fitted. And what happened was I hadn't got heavy enough tools to undertake the job myself. Basically, I tried to lift it on a high lift jack and it came off of it and nearly landed on me. So I decided I'm going to take it in and get it done by a professional. So I had new brakes and stuff, and I found a local company. I'm not going to name them, but I found a local company that undertook the work for me, and I had it about 3 weeks, and they fitted HD suspension and the steering bars. I got my car back and it was absolutely ruined. Ever since then I've had basically the death wobble. So you get to about 50-60 mile an hour, or you hit a tram line on the motorway and it would throw the car into like a sort of veering, wobbling state. And I've been, for the last 5 or 6 years, battling trying to overcome that. Unfortunately, the garage binned all the original parts, or else I should have gone back to standard. So far what I've done is I've fitted caster correction arms to combat the 2-inch lift. I've fitted poly bushes throughout, and I have fitted an adjustable panhard rod. I've also had the tracking done, because when the garage gave it me back, they didn't even measure the steering bars, and when it come back to me, one wheel was facing forward, one wheel was facing completely canted off. Shocking how a garage can let it go out like that, but unfortunately that's what happened. So yeah, it came out the garage and the suspension and tracking was all over the place. It was wallowy. You hit a tram line on the motorway and it was diving, and it was generally unsafe. I remember we once came back from a camp, me and my partner Becky, and we had to overtake a wide load on the motorway, and I had to get up to sort of 60 mile an hour, and there was only one lane free, and it took a bit of a death wobble, and honestly I had to slow down the whole traffic down to about 40 mile an hour until I could get it under control, because it rolls so much. It doesn't help with the roof rack and the roof tent, etc. So basically, for the last 6-7 years, I've been trying to dial out what the work that shoddy garage did. So I had it all tracked, still did it, a bit less. Put the adjustable panhard rod on, poly bushes and all the camber correction kit, and that made a massive difference. But now it's still quite wallowy and top heavy. And I realised that on some Defenders there's a rear anti-roll bar or a sway bar, and this has got all the brackets for it, but it doesn't have them. So I've been wondering, did the garage take those off when they did the lift? I can't remember, it's so long ago. But there was a noticeable difference. Like, it went into the garage and it was like a go-kart for a Defender, believe it or not. You know, stiff suspension, firm in the corners, and it came out and it was wallowy and horrible and absolutely awful to drive. Part of the reason why I was never happy with the 606, because I was keeping an eye on the engine whilst trying to keep the thing going in a straight line, and you know, it was just it's ruined my love for the car basically. So anyway, I've been dialing through this over the last 7 years or so, and I've decided to put an anti-roll bar kit on it. So I wanted to go for the ex-engineering one, but there's just no stock. It's pre-order, and I've got a few days off over Christmas. I thought I'll go for one. So I've gone for the Terrafirma kit. It's a heavy duty polybush kit, and it's a 28mm version. Obviously it's severe rolling. So today we're going to install that, and I'm hoping that that's going to make the massive difference, the last bit on the rolling. The only thing I can do then after that is wheel balancing and potentially a new steering box. I mean, I've even fitted a return to centre damper, one with a spring on it, as part of trying to fix this issue. But you know, I've just been dialing in little bits and bobs, and it is, you know, it's sort of 80% back to where it was already, but it's still heavy in the corners and rolly. So I'm hoping this kit will make all the difference. So I'll do a quick shot. I've done a half exploded view of the parts I'm going to fit, which I'll show you quickly, and then we'll get into actually get it installed. So I'll bring you back in a moment. So this is the kit. It's a heavy duty 28mm anti-roll bar that looks like it's got some sort of a chrome plating on it. Very nice. It comes with Terrafirma sway bar poly bushes. Comes with all the sort of mounting brackets, all nicely powder coated, and I also opted for the spacer block, a 1-inch spacer, because apparently if you lift a vehicle 2 inches, then you need one of these. And that also came with all the hardware to install and new drop links. So that's not all the kit. I've left out some of the bits that are you know, duplicated just for the ease of packing things away and stuff. So now I'll get on, and the first thing I'm going to do is grease up these bushes and get the anti-roll bar hung. I'm pretty sure that it actually bends. If you notice, there's a bit of a lift in the corners, and I think what that is, it does go one way around, and I think it's actually this way up because it bends underneath the fuel tank. So it's bent down to clear the fuel tank, I believe. But right, I'm going to get this piece of cardboard underneath the car and get set up, and we'll get it start bolting it in. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-assemble the bushes onto the car. So my neighbour giving me grief. So each of these bushes come with a split, yes. So the bushes are split and they come with some silicone grease. So I'm going to pre-grease the bushes and pop them into position on the anti-roll bar. It's time for your inspection, Mr. Mansfield. So basically they come with like a Vaseline top affair, and it's just a case of putting some in. Just prolongs the life of the bush from on the sides, all on the tops. Maybe I'll do the tops in a second, and then just the inside. So the bushes come split, and basically you just wrestle them on to the bar in position like so. And give them a nice smattering of grease all around so they don't squeak and wear out when you come to put the brackets on. So how they work, that clamps underneath the section, and then there's a spacer bracket on top which bolts to the chassis, and then they've got a drop link at each end, and that basically bolts to the axle. So I'll get all this in place, I'll bring you back shortly. So this is the view from underside, and that's where the drop links bolt to, and then the spacers and the bushes bolt to these sections on your chassis. You got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I'll just get this wrestled into position, and I'll bring you back in a second. They're 10mm bolts, so it's 17mm hardware, and I would imagine probably better off. These look like they're drilled for 3/8, so I'll probably just give these a quick clean up with a 10mm drill bit. Those all cleaned up, and now we start bolting things in place. Yeah, quick tip, put your brackets on your bushes before they go underneath the car. So looking at the kit, they won't go in, bolts won't go in from the top down, which is a little bit of a shame, but looks like there's plenty of meat to pull them up when you're inside. So I'll get the first nut ready. I've not put any washers on that because I just want to take the weight for a second. So the hole isn't quite lining up, so I'm just using the thread on the bolt to wind it through. It's starting to go. Bit difficult to see with my ridge monkey in the way. That's now defunct. So I've just put 2 loose bolts in just to get it roughly in position, and now I'll move over. I won't film it. I'm going to move over and just wrestle the other side into position. That's all loosely bolted in. I've left it loose for a reason, because basically I'm going to have to adjust it in and out slightly. You can just see there that the bolts aren't done up. Yeah, so next part. Let me just adjust the camera slightly. So the next part, we've got the like a track rod end affair, which comes with basically these, with this sort of convex arrangement, and then you have bushes that go in there with a washer, and then you have a bolt that goes all the way through, and that bolt through here. So track rod end goes on the chassis side, sorry, axle side, and the bolt goes through the anti-roll bar. So I've just give this a bit of a wiggle. So now I'm going to try and get this in place. I'm probably not going to film this because it'll be difficult to film because we're in the same space. I don't know. Let's have a look. Can you see? Yes, you can. So quick check on what we've got. So these are all 17mm heads on the spacer bracket, so M10s. This is a 17mm also. Actually, I think this is a 19. This is a 19mm on the end of your track rod end, and then the bolts that go through the bottom are 24mm or 15/16. So 19mm, 15/16, and 24mm on the bolts. So I'm just going to double check what order the bolts go in, whether they go through here first, but there's definitely a washer that goes on here. So I'll have a quick check of that. I'll put the first one in place and bring you back. So what you've got, your bolt goes through first. So you've got bolt, washer, then that goes through your bush, and you've got another washer. You've got another washer, and then you've got your nut that goes on the end, just like that. And then this lifts into position and drops in, but I think what we're going to have to do is put it up top first. Just put that on loosely for now. The Terrafirma kit doesn't actually come with any instructions, unfortunately. So this is all from LR Workshop. They've got a great website where all the different things are shown on there. I'm actually going to put this bolt in the other way around, I think, looking at this. So now I've got everything loosely in place up here. What I've done is I've assembled these. So effectively it goes bolt, washer, bush, and you've got your track rod end, and then you've got another bush, and you've got another washer. And basically what you do is you lift this into position on the axle and pull it all through like that. This then bolts up, and then you put your castellated nut on the ball joint like so. And then what I'll do is I'll pull that over into position on the other side, and I'll bring you back and tighten everything up. So that's that side just nipped up. These are all still loose. So now I will quickly nip this side up. Start off with your ball joint and your 10 on your 12mm, and that should pull the anti-roll bar over as it tightens up. You see that pulling it into square. So the torque setting for this is FT. And go back and do your ball joint. Just going to get a slightly bigger bar on this. So I've just got the breaker bar on the 24 mils and the 19 mil. So I'll just do the same on the other side, tighten all these little 17 mils up, and this job's done. So that's it, all tightened up. All tightened up. One key thing I forgot to mention was the stalk nuts, the split pins in the castellated nuts, both done. So that's it. I know it's a little bit off centre at the moment, but I expect what will happen is once the car does some undulations and stuff around the on the road, it will sort itself out. So I'll wrap this video up and sign off. See you on the next one. Well, just been for a bit of a test drive, and it's reduced roll. Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's cured the wallowiness, but it's a lot better. So next thing, probably once funds build up a little bit, I'll have to get the front anti-roll bar. So the good news is I found out what the ticking noise is. Basically there was a little short section of conduit where I did the new wiring loom without a little clip on it, and what had happened was when I went around the corner on the video that you saw, it must have just come away from where it was, and it was just touching the yoke of the transfer box. But no, just clipped it up, gone for a test drive, and it's gone. So hopefully get some test miles on it soon. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Give us a like and subscribe, it all helps. This is quite an expensive thing to do, so if you feel like donating to the channel, no. Yeah, thanks again for watching. If I don't speak to you soon, have a great new year, and I'll see you in 2025. I've got some more stuff lined up whilst I'm off Christmas, off this Christmas. I want to do a battery upgrade on the campus van setup and do some new wiring, and I would like to fit some diff locks in the future and maybe an onboard air system, so stay tuned for all of that. But anyway, in the meantime, I'll catch you soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers.